Congressman.
Thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it. Hey, good to see you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi. How are you? Good to see you. Hi there. Hey. Hey, everybody. Muy buenos días a todos. Gracias por recibirnos. Muy bien. Gracias. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me out. And to Melissa and April Perales, who in Las Vegas last month welcomed me not just into their home, but into their lives. As Melissa said, I spent the day with April, who's a home care worker, as she served her client, Siobhan, who was a woman in need of help, severely disabled, had been until recently living in her car, because that's the only place she could afford to live, now had an apartment where she could continue to raise her family, and now had April, who would help her with almost every single task in her home. And I got to work with April on that day, scrubbing the floors in the kitchen, cleaning the carpet. The vacuum cleaner was broken, so she had borrowed a shop vac, and so on hands and knees with the hose and the attachment, cleaning that carpet, washing the dishes, all of those things that we know and think about when we describe what a home care worker does. But what was even more powerful and made an even greater impression on me was the way that April was there for Siobhan in those ways that may not be defined in her job description. The emotional connection that she made with her, reminding her about her doctor's visits, or just being there almost as a therapist would be there to listen to Siobhan as she continued to struggle to do well for herself and her family. I want to, as a candidate, I want to, as a president, I want us as a country to be worthy of April and her service and her sacrifice, her kindness and the grace that she shows each and every single day. And I want to acknowledge just how tough it is for her to be that gracious and graceful and kind and amazing. She's raising 4 children of her own, one of whom has disabilities as well. But because she's only paid $11 an hour, she's also working a second job, and more nights than not, she gets home too late to be able to see her kids, who are raised in part by her father, who moved from California to be in Las Vegas to help her with her family. I want to make sure that her example, the inspiration that she has provided to me, what SEIU is doing all over this country, not just for SEIU members, and not just for other members of other unions, and not just for U.S. citizens, but for everyone who works in this country to have dignity, to be treated with respect, to be able to live to their full potential and reveal their full promise for themselves, for their families, and for America. That's why I'm running for president, and that's why I want to serve you as president. Thank you all. Gracias.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
So we've got a few questions for you.
Wonderful.
Hi, my name is Jamilia Fairley, and I'm with the Fight for 15 Florida, from Orlando, Florida. And during my time, I'm also a McDonald's worker. I've been working for McDonald's for 4 years. And since I've been working at McDonald's, I've been sexually harassed on several occasions. And I know of other McDonald's workers as well who has been sexually harassed. And I want to know, oh my goodness, I'm sorry.
You're doing great.
Come on, take your time. Great. Take your time. We got you.
Since then, they said that they are now training McDonald's workers on how to handle sexual harassment. But the truth is, like, McDonald's really doesn't care about training us on how to handle sexual harassment within their workplaces. Like, we know as people, like, McDonald's, like, need more than just training for workers like us. We need a union, because with a union, we could speak up about being sexually harassed. We could speak up about, we could speak up about retaliation towards us in our workplaces. And like, I'm here today because I feel like empowered to be speaking to you guys like about being sexually harassed at my workplace by a coworker, because today is like I feel like I'm a voice for all McDonald's workers who has been sexually harassed. And like, I want to say that with this union, I feel like I have so much support from people that it gives me the strength that I need to speak up and let like the world know what's going on in McDonald's, and that their corporation needs to step up about sexual harassment, not just the training. They need to join unions, to form unions, so that we could all speak up and like what else? I want to say that we're now here joining other organizations so that we could build, like, build more, like, power, pretty much. Power in people.
That's a good word.
I like that.
People power. Okay. And I wanted to ask you, as president, how would you ensure stronger policies for McDonald's workers, like protection for McDonald's workers like me?
Yeah, it's really good. I think you used the right word, power. And what you just did was so extraordinarily powerful, so courageous to share your personal story, as tough as that might be, and to bring us all in beyond the numbers and the statistics and the level that a wage is set. You're asking to be treated like a human being, to be respected, to have your dignity not just respected, not just protected, but fought for by the union that you are a member of. Your right to organize beyond $15 an hour, which is so extraordinarily important. Beyond universal, guaranteed, high-quality health care. So you don't have to worry about seeing a doctor. You can just focus on your job, on your family, on rising to your full potential. Your desire, which should be a human right that every one of us should be able to expect in this country, to be treated with respect by your coworkers, by your managers, and when you are not, to be listened to be heard, to be successful in overcoming what has happened and holding those who violated that trust accountable and responsible to ensure that justice is delivered at the end of the day. So as president, I'm going to make sure that you and other McDonald's employees can organize, can join a union, can fight for all of those things, to fight for yourself, to be treated with that dignity and respect that you deserve as an American, as a human being, to make sure that by law, there is no longer an opportunity to discriminate based on the color of your skin, on your gender. In America in 2019, where women on average are paid 80 cents on the dollar, where African American women are paid 61 cents on the dollar, where Latinas are paid 53 cents on the dollar, by law, ending that discrimination and ratifying the Equal Rights Amendment so that constitutionally there can never be a question that you're going to be treated equal to every man in every part of your life. So I'm grateful for what you're doing. Going to fight for you. Going to fight for all employees to make sure that you have that respect and those protections in the workplace. Thank you for asking the question. Excellent work. Yeah, really appreciate it. So good. Yeah.
Sarah.
Morning.
Good
My
morning.
name is Sarah Campos. I work for the Oregon Department of Human Services, and I'm a proud member of SEIU 503. I'm worried about the impact climate change is going to have on my life and my family's future. I'm also concerned that climate change perpetuates inequality. Oftentimes, low-income people and communities of color are disproportionately affected, whether it's poor health due to increased asthma or low-quality drinking water, or the cost of having to rebuild homes after destruction from floods, forest fires, or other extreme weather. How will you take bold action on climate change and hold corporations accountable for dumping pollution in Black, brown, and low-income communities? And will you stand with us as we create a green economy that focuses on working families?
Yeah. Great question. Sarah, thank you. And the answer to your second question is yes. And point taken on your opening statement about who's bearing the brunt of climate change right now. We announced our plan to confront climate change before it is too late here in California, the first policy proposal that I unveiled as a candidate for the presidency. And we did so in the Central Valley of California, just after we had been at Yosemite Park. And I want to make the connection between the two places to further the point that you laid out at the outset. So at Yosemite, we got to see these sequoias, these magnificent magisterial organisms that have been alive for 2,000 years. They were born when Caesar ruled the planet. They have survived every single kind of threat that's been thrown at them for 2 millennia, and now are succumbing to climate change. These oldest of organisms are beginning to die. In the Central Valley, you have kids who are days old because of the quality of the air or lack thereof, because of the quality of the water or lack thereof, have an infant mortality rate that is absolutely alarming. So the very youngest among us and the oldest on this planet both succumbing at the same time. And you're absolutely right. The best predictor of your proximity to pollution, the front lines of climate change, is the color of your skin and the lack of income or wealth that your family has. So investing in the resiliency of lower income communities and communities of color, pulling those polluters out from their midst, which will decrease the rising rates of asthma and heart disease that we see right now, the toxins in the lives of our fellow Americans that force them to succumb to cancers and MS and other diseases that would otherwise be unavoidable, is a central plank of our policy, investing billions of dollars in order to do that. And then to your other point, freeing ourselves from a dependence on fossil fuels and fully embracing renewable wind and solar and the high wage, high skill, high value jobs which must be organized and represented by unions that will come along with them to get to net zero greenhouse gas emissions as soon as we possibly can, because it is the only way that this planet, this community right here in Los Angeles, my hometown of El Paso, yours in Oregon, is going to be able to support human life going forward. This is the mother of all tests for every single one of us, 10 years within which to act. And all of us must be engaged, no half steps, no half measures, and certainly not half the country. And first in line, in priority, are those who've been last in line for protection against these changes. That's going to be my priority as president. Thank you for asking. Thanks, Sarah.
We got a third question.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Mi nombre es Ámbar Arellano y soy janitor en Seattle, Washington. Estoy orgullosa de ser miembro de SEIU Local 6. Limpio oficinas y ayudo a mis compañeros como líder del edificio donde estoy trabajando. Cuando yo empecé a laborar en la compañía donde estoy, ellos me dijeron que mi sindicato era malo y que si yo hablaba con ellos, podría perder mi empleo. Se aprovecharon de que no sabía mis derechos. Muchos trabajadores de diferentes países y razas trabajan limpiando oficinas, escuelas u hospitales, pero hay muchas compañías que se aprovechan del estatus migratorio para mantener los salarios bajos, no otorgarnos un seguro de salud y un sindicato. Mi pregunta es, ¿qué haría usted para que las compañías como la mía nos deje de intimidar y todos podamos tener un sindicato?
Gracias. Primero, gracias para la pregunta y estar aquí y para esta oportunidad estar con usted. Tengo mucho orgullo en el trabajo que está haciendo en este momento. en su trabajo, pero también con el sindicato de SEIU. Yo pienso que hay dos lados. El lado de la corporación o la compañía o el negocio y el lado del obrero o la obrera, la trabajadora. Yo estoy en el lado de los trabajadores aquí en este país, en los sindicatos, en los derechos de obtener un salario mínimo con dignidad. El ejemplo es $15 por hora y no podemos estar bajo de eso. Queremos aumentar aún más de allí. Necesitamos cuidado de salud para cada persona, cada miembro de cada comunidad como un derecho humano y vamos a hacerlo como presidente. Y también el derecho de ser parte de un union o un sindicato como SEIU y para luchar para todos. La gente que están aquí, que tienen ciudadanía, pero también la gente que no tienen ciudadanía. Los migrantes, casi 11 millones que están aquí, contribuyendo al éxito de este país, al éxito de nuestras comunidades, que están asegurando nuestras comunidades y este país también. Y imagine qué podemos hacer si ellos tienen ciudadanía también. La gente que están trabajando en las fábricas de pollo in Mississippi. We were just at these chicken processing plants, the site of the largest single state raid in the history of this country by ICE. 700 workers with one of the toughest jobs in America who fled the deadliest countries on the planet, rounded up like animals, hog-tied, put in detention, deported, leaving their U.S. citizen children here living in fear and torture. We've got to organize not just for U.S. citizens, not just for members of unions, but for everyone who works in this country, including undocumented immigrants. And that's why I'm so grateful for the work that you're doing. I am on your side, and I always will be on your side. Le agradezco. Gracias.
So you get 1 minute to close out.
I just want to conclude on a note of gratitude for all the work that you're doing. I mentioned going to Mississippi, Canton and Forest, and visiting with those who work in those chicken processing plants, who do not think that they have a champion, do not even know that we know that they exist. The work that you're doing for them, the work that you're doing for April and Melissa Perales, the work that you're doing for those employees at Medical University of South Carolina, 50 years after they led a walkout from that hospital to organize for workers' rights, especially workers of color, and 50 years later, those workers in that hospital can still not afford the health care that they are providing. To be with SEIU members in Pittsburgh, as we were last week, organizing at UPMC, you are doing the most important work in this country right now, and I want you to know that when the choice is between corporations and people, corporations and workers, corporations and the dignity in our lives, I stand with you each and every single time. Thank you for having us out.
Thank you so much.
Les agradezco. Muchas gracias. Y tenga buen día. Gracias. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Grateful. Yep. Thanks a lot.
Good, this
Going this way?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So next up, now we're going to bring out Cleveland to introduce our next candidate. Cleveland, where are you? Where is she? Oh, there you are. My sister. You're on. Cleveland Donizal.
Good morning, all. As you know, my name is Cleveland Donizal. I work at Bethesda Hospital in St. Paul, Minnesota. I am a 29 years of
hold
being
up.
in union.
Say hi.
Hi.
We're a little bit behind back there, so you're not introducing quite yet. Right? I'm sorry. She was all ready. Just here. Just stay. Right here. Give us a second. We're setting it up. I'm with you, babe.
I'm ready to introduce Senator Amy Klobuchar.
All right. So we will. All right. All right. Thank you for filling our time. So Cleveland, you're on, sis.
I've been a member for the last 29 years. I am proud to be union strong. And when I say union strong, I mean union strong. I always have the union to back me up, and they're always there when I need backup. So I'm here now to introduce Senator Amy Klobuchar. But I first want to tell you guys a story regarding my friend James, SEIU member. James had a son by the name of Alex. He was 26 years old. Alex passed away at 26. The reason for that is of corporate greed. He had no insulin. So therefore, with him not having that, my friend Alex has passed away. I also want to allow you guys to know there was a rally that was held in Minnesota. Senator Amy Klobuchar came to the rally. I met Senator Amy Klobuchar in 2006 when we were doing the October Blitz. I want you guys all to give a big round of applause for Senator Amy Klobuchar.
Senator, welcome. Should be on.
Here we go. Hello. I'm on. Okay. Thanks so much, Cleveland. Thank you to all of you for being here. I am just so psyched. I just met with a number of your workers, especially some of the workers that were celebrating the work you did here in California with child care workers. We actually did the same thing in Minnesota, and we were excited about that. And then I also wanted to thank you for the work that you've done here in California so we stop the misclassification of workers, which is an unbelievably bad thing. So it's not just what you're doing right now, it's what you did in the last election. I think you know we were all on our heels after that presidential race. I know we were in my state, and then what happened? Did you just like put your blanket over your head? No. You organized. And you think about what you did all over the country where you organized, supported candidates that supported unions for all. And what happened? We took back the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. because of your work all over the country. You did that. So let me tell you about me and why I'm up here. I wouldn't be here without unions. My grandpa was an iron ore miner. He worked 1,500 feet underground his whole life. He first became a Teamster when he was just in middle school. He had to quit school. He had 9 brothers and sisters. His parents were sick. And then he went and worked underground in the mines. And it was very unsafe back then. And because of unions and safety, which we need in our hospitals too, SEIU workers, because of safety rules, he was able to keep working. And my dad still remembers the caskets in the church because they didn't have safety rules. And then over time, the unions made that mine safer. He saved money in a coffee can in the basement to send my dad to a community college. And my dad got a 2-year community college degree. And from there, became a newspaper man and a proud member of the Newspapers Guild. That's a union. My mom grew up poor in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee, which is going to be the site of our next convention, our national convention. She grew up there, and she got a teacher's degree, and she moved to Minnesota because they had strong teachers' unions. She was in one of the first strikes of teachers. I have a picture of her that I showed after she died at the visitation of her on that picket line. And my mom ended up teaching 2nd grade until she was 70 years old. So I stand before you today as the granddaughter of an iron ore miner and a union member, the daughter of a teacher, union member, the daughter of a newspaper man and a union member, the first woman elected to the U.S. Senate from the state of Minnesota, and a candidate for president of the United States. That is what that is what unions are all about. That's it. Because we live in a country of shared dreams where no matter where you come from or who you know or who you love or where you worship, that you should be able to make it in the United States of America. But the problem right now is we've got a president who doesn't understand that and actually works against it every single day. He works against unions with the people he puts in the NLRB and the kind of judges he puts in. He works against people's hopes and promises with his mean rhetoric when he wakes up every morning and goes after immigrants, right? Uses them as political pawns. When he goes after people of color. When he says after Charlottesville that there are two sides. There's not two sides when the other side is the Ku Klux Klan. There's only one side, and that's the American side. This is a president who right now, and we see it, he embroiled himself in this, and it really actually had something to do with all of you, this impeachment proceeding. Because this is a president that doesn't seem to get that when you're president of the United States, you lead. It's not some kind of game show. You don't put your own business interests and your partisan interests and your political interests in front of the people of this country. That's what this guy did. That's what he did. And that's fundamentally, when you look at all this evidence in every corner of the world where he goes looking for dirt, that's what it's about. He put himself and his friends and his cronies in front of the interests of this country. So what I've been doing is reaching out to people all over this country, some people who feel left out in the noise and the nonsense. And I've told them that they have a home with me, and that includes everyone in this room. And you can tell for me, it's not just the policies from the head, it also comes from the heart. I went on this Blue Wall tour. Blue Wall, those states in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Iowa, that we lost in that 2016 presidential election. And I talked to those workers, and there are people, and you know some of them, that voted for Donald Trump, that have voted for Barack Obama, right? And we need to bring them back. And one of the strongest ways we bring them back is by talking about the strengths of workers organizing, that they have a place to be, that there are unions for all. And when I went on this Blue Wall tour, I told them, as we go to a state like Wisconsin that people thought was impossible to win, if you think it's impossible to win, I have 4 words for you. Former Governor Scott Walker. All right? We won that. And so this time, in 2020, SEIU members, we are going to make a blue wall. We're going to build a blue wall around those states, and we're going to make Donald Trump pay for it. So as we do this and we make that contrast with him, we've also got to have our own optimistic economic agenda for this country. And that's where you come in with the work that you've been doing every day, with the progress that you can show you can make, even when we have this guy in the White House. You've shown you can make it because you've done it state by state by state, with our home health care workers, with our airport workers, with the work that is going on with our child care workers right now. You have shown us that progress, and then you give people the hope that we can win on a national basis, and that when we win, we make a difference, right? So for me, that means making sure that we make it easier, not harder, for unions to organize. For me, that means joining, and I have for a long time, your fight for 15 to increase the minimum wage. To me, that means making it easier to afford child care, right? Make it easier for workers to get to work, because when our economy is stronger, we are all better. And our economy cannot be strong unless unions are strong. They are completely linked in my mind. So that is the road we are on. It's that optimistic economic agenda, but also making the contrast for those people who actually thought this guy was going to do something for him, and he didn't. Those are the 2 things we need to do. So I hope you'll join me. I have won every race, every place, every time. I have won in the hardest of districts, including, and your Minnesota friends will tell you this, not once, but not twice, but not 3 times, I have won Michelle Bachmann's district. And I have done it by reaching out to people and meeting them where they are. That's what I believe that we need to do to win back America and get this guy out of the White House. Thank you, SEIU.
Thank you, Senator. So we have a few questions for you.
Good. Okay, thank you.
It's a pleasure to sit here beside you and to get to ask you the first question.
Thank you.
I would just like to tell you a little bit about my story.
Good.
I am a Jamaican, West Indies. My mother is Cuban. My father is Jamaican. I was born in that country. But today, I'm a proud citizen of this United States.
Yeah.
Before I was a citizen, I was undocumented. For 14 years. I'm sorry. I was undocumented for 14 years. During that 14 years, I gave quality of life to Americans, and I should say white Americans, who had nobody to feed them,
Right.
take them to the bathroom,
Right.
clothe them,
Right.
put them to bed at night,
Yep.
feed them,
Yep.
puree the food for them. I did that. These two hands,
You.
one body, 2 feet. I did that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. During this time of me being out of status, I was so anxious to learn about taxes. I bought a book called Taxes for Dummy. I wanted to pay taxes, but what I didn't know was that there's something called employer taxes. So now I'm in trouble. Because I'm honest and I want to pay taxes, I had to pay employer taxes and my taxes. I get so much penalty, it lead me to $25,000 in debt with the IRS. By this time, I have a baby too. I have a 1-year-old child.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Not born in this country, she came with me. By this time, I'm $25,000 in debt with the IRS. My sons filed for me on 9/11. I got my green card. When I got my green card, I decided to go to nursing school, where I became a nursing assistant. Now I'm a nursing assistant for the past 18 years with $11.99. I was lucky. Thank you. I was one of the fortunate ones that after being undocumented for 14 years, I landed in a shop where there was $11.99. $11.99 stood by me and my daughter. I had job security. I'm not a millionaire, but I was able to structure my life based on job security. My life was structured. I had health benefits. Now I can give my residents the best care ever. Because if my head hurt me, I can leave work and go to the doctor and know I don't have to worry. $11.99 on all these people in this room, they were able to stand by me. So at this time, I could go on forever, but
I think they'd want you to.
my question for you is going to be, what are you going to do and how are you going to close the gap that exists where women, immigrants, and people of color are still not faced to get the opportunity that exists? We would like you to tell the employers that our births, our graduation are just like theirs.
Exactly. All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. This is who we need to put on the stage with Donald Trump, I think. All right. And I think you know why. Because he doesn't see this face, right? But listen to her story. She is the one that took care of people when they were sick, when sometimes their own family members can't do that. And this is the case for unions. This is the case for immigrants. So let's start with that. First of all, we need immigration reform in this country, and I have pledged, because I've been through this twice now. I was in the small group that worked on it when George Bush was president. He actually wanted to get it done, unlike this president. I was then in the group when President Obama was his second term, when he wanted to get this done. I was on the Judiciary Committee, and I believe in my heart we can get this done, and we can have a path to citizenship and make it much easier than this story. Because what we need to understand as a country, when we look at the needs that we have to start small businesses, to run things, to work in our fields, in our factories, to work in our nursing homes and our hospitals, immigrants don't diminish America, they are America. And that is that story right there. That's what that story is, right there. Then the other piece of this is to make sure that the workers who do this hard work get treated with respect. And that means allowing people to organize, to make it easier to make sure if there's violations that we go after the employers that violate the laws, to make sure that we reinstate employees, to go after these right-to-work laws, to stop the misclassification. All of this has to be together to get this done. But the one thing of this story that I want you to take away more than anything is what this woman has done for our country. And so why you would put her at the end of the line makes no sense when she should be at the front of the line. So I just want to thank you for that. And that's why when we fight this immigration fight, and he wants to make it sound like it's just all about crime and it's all about bad things, it's not one bit. All you have to do is walk around any workplace, any airport, any hospital in America. My own dad is in assisted living right now. And I've seen firsthand the patience of those workers. So many of them are immigrants. And I know every day when I give them a call and they answer the phone that he's in good care. My daughter was really sick when she was born, and she was in the hospital, in and out for the first year and a half of her life. She couldn't swallow. And it was not just the workers in the hospital, it was the home health care workers that I just talked to back there who would come and help us when all these tubes she had in would come out, and I didn't know what to do. They would come and help. Literally, people's lives and their families depend on these workers. And so that's why I tell you, I believe in this not just in my head, but in my heart. And this is the face that Donald Trump needs to see. Thank you.
For this next question,
Okay.
Are you here?
Yeah. Thank you. Hola, buenos días, senadora. Mi nombre es Karen de León. Yo soy una orgullosa miembro de la local 1996 en San Juan, Puerto Rico. Y en el 2009, fui una de las 3,000 miembros de CIU que fueron...
not on?
Should I hear the intro? It's going to be at the end.
No, you should be hearing it now.
No, I'm not right now. Oh, this is a test of the candidates and their command of Spanish. Maybe I'll try yours. Okay. Yeah, channel 1.
Channel 1.
Okay. Do you want to? Okay.
Try it again.
Okay. You want to start over?
Okay, don't worry.
If I hear. Okay, 1.
It's not a test.
I know, I got it. Okay. Yeah. Okay, try again.
Okay. Bueno, en el 2009, ¿no? ¿Aún no?
Yeah, there's nothing coming in.
Or hey, help us there.
Okay, is yours working?
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay, we got it. As usual, she came through. Okay, we got it. Okay, yeah, all right. Here we go. See? Okay.
Bueno, en el 2009 fui una de las 3,000 miembros de CIU que perdimos nuestro trabajo cuando se comenzaron a implementar medidas de austeridad y mientras los fondos buitres se aprovechaban de la crisis financiera y económica de la isla. Los 24,000 miembros de CIU en Puerto Rico hemos pasado por mucho en los últimos años. El huracán María devastó la isla, dejando casi 900 miembros de CIU damnificados por el huracán, y la ayuda que se aprobó aún no ha llegado. Pero seguimos luchando en contra de los fondos buitres que se siguen aprovechando cada día de nuestra crisis económica. Seguimos luchando también para que la antidemocrática Junta de Control Fiscal que aprobó la ley promesa no nos haga más daño a los trabajadores y trabajadoras. Y seguimos luchando para tratar de tener los recursos necesarios para quienes nos quedamos en la isla. Entonces mi pregunta es, ¿qué haría usted para ayudar a reconstruir nuevamente a Puerto Rico en estos tiempos?
All right, so I was in Puerto Rico a few months ago, spent 3 days there. It was right during the height of when the Republicans in Congress were trying to deny the aid for the hurricanes to Puerto Rico. And we fought that, we won, but the money still isn't where it should be. And so I learned a lot. I met with the mayor of San Juan there and met with elected officials and heard about some of the corruption and what was going on there from many that I talked to outside of Puerto Rico. And I think you see the people now trying to take this into their own hands so they can have a government that is more fair for them and puts them first. But what I most remember is going to a school where literally it had not yet opened, and the date was on it a few days before that hurricane on the whiteboard after all that time. It was like frozen in time, and the kids were outside the school because they couldn't go in the school. So what I think we need to do is remember, first of all, that these are American citizens in Puerto Rico, number one. Number two, we have to support them and make sure that we have adequate aid to a country when it is hit by a disaster. That's number two. And number three, if we want to allow the people to run their country and make this work better, we have to support our unions and our union organizing in Puerto Rico. So that's what I would do.
Thank you, Senator. We've got a question from the floor.
Okay, good.
Good morning, Senator.
Good morning.
My name is Wanda Coker. I work at Burger King, and I worked in fast food for 28 years. This is Mr. Nigel Wiggins, and he works at McDonald's. Both of us are from Durham, North Carolina, and we're both leaders in the fight for 15.
Thank you.
Even though Nigel and I work for different billion-dollar companies, we're both facing the same conditions at our jobs. We don't make enough money to pay our bills, and we work in unsafe working conditions, cooking in kitchens that reach 110 degrees or more. If workers like Nigel and I were able to come together and bargain with our employers as a united front, not just on a store-by-store basis, we would be able to set a mandate for the fast food industry and improve conditions for workers across the board. What we're seeking is to be able to bring together employers, workers, and the government at industry-wide bargaining tables to negotiate wages, benefits, and working conditions. What would you do to be able to bring this to reality?
All right. Well, thank you so much. And I want to, first of all, thank you for what you're doing, because when you work that hard, you should have a job where you can support yourself and your family. That's the first thing. And that's got to be the number one philosophy we have here as we look at it, we reach out to people, that once you say that, things just kind of fall into place. And I think what you've seen now, and I know a little bit about what you did. I've worked these jobs before. A&W, I was a root beer mug washer. And I also worked at a pie shop for 2 years, and I will say I wasn't that good at it. I did cutting of pies. I kind of messed them up. For your workers out there, I think you could outdo me any day. I once spilled 4 iced teas on one customer. That was when I decided I might try law school instead. But that is, you are doing the work, and that work should be rewarded. It is what my friend Sherrod Brown calls the dignity of work and respecting the dignity of work. So what I would do is, first of all, yes, everyone should be at the table, and we should do this together. Government, business, and we've got to make this a major national effort because it's going to drag our economy down if people can't go out and buy stuff, right? And that's what's happening right now if they can't afford things. So that would be the first thing I would do, is stand with you, which I have done, and make it easier to organize. The second thing is making it easier for employees to get stuff. Cleveland led with the story of the insulin and the story of that woman, the man that died in Minnesota, Alex. And I have stood with those workers because literally right now we are seeing pharmaceutical prices, healthcare prices skyrocket. We have a president that wants to kick people off of their insurance for pre-existing conditions. He has in bed with the pharma companies even though he said that he wouldn't be, and that's because they have 2 lobbyists for every member of Congress. They do. They think they own Washington. They don't own me. So this is about health care and making our health care affordable by bringing our premiums down and doing everything to support that. Making child care affordable. Making sure that you can have a decent retirement. And that means keeping Social Security strong. I'm proud to be on Senator Sanders' bill, and I know we all miss him very much, by the way. And he and I came in together to Congress. We've worked on to the Senate, worked on pharmaceutical issues together. And when I saw his picture yesterday coming out of that hospital, I know he's going to be back at that debate stage and on this campaign trail soon. So what his bill says is it says let's have wealthy people pay more into Social Security and keep it strong. That's going to make a difference for you. Let's keep Medicare strong as well, and then let's make it easier for people to retire. I really appreciate SEIU support for UP Savings Account. It's a bill that I'm leading with another senator, Senator Coons, and we need to move forward with all kinds of new ideas to make workers strong in their retirement. So I look at from beginning to end, standing with you on the picket line, standing with you to organize. That is how we make this economy work, not just for the people at the top, but for everyone. Thank you.
So,
okay.
Closing remarks.
Okay, closing remarks. So I want to thank you. This has been an amazing experience for me. Sometimes you go up here, you know, and you just listen to yourself talk. It's lovely. But what I've done is listen to you talk. And that has been inspiring for me. I want you to know that despite everything that you see every day, we are on a march. We're on a fight to win, right? And we are on a march that started the day after that inauguration, that dark, cloudy day. That next day when millions of people, including many of you are SEIU members, marched across this country. That happened. Then the next day, what happened? 6,000 women signed up to run for office. That happened. Then on day 9, since that inauguration, when that president issued that mean-spirited refugee order, that anti-immigrant order, what happened? People spontaneously showed up at airports. Who does that? But they did because they supported our immigrants and knew how ugly that was. Then you march forward. It just kept going. Day 100, with all of our hospital workers, he'll get this one, the March for Science, my favorite march, with my favorite sign. What do we want? Science. When do we want it? After peer review. You then go into the summer where we stood together and fought off that president's attempt to repeal the Affordable Care Act, and we won the Fighting 48. Then you go to the fall where we elected the most diverse group ever in the history of America. My favorite one was a New Jersey legislator who the day of the Women's March had said, I hope they'll be home in time to make dinner. That guy got defeated by an African-American woman. That happened. in a victory for decency and dignity in the state of Alabama, Doug Jones won that Senate seat. And then we saw those Parkland students marching, and all across the country, kids saw them and they became icons, and then those kids voted. This is the march that we are on. We are not on this march alone. So I am asking you to not give up. Do I want to lead this march? Yes. But what is most important is that we are together, that we understand that what unifies us is so much stronger than what divides us. Let's go together. Let's win in 2020 SEIU. Unions for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Klobuchar. We're going to take a little break, and we'll come back for our last candidate.
Oh, wow.
Thank you so much.
You guys, I was going to tell them an update. Her daughter's a scientist.
know, sisters and brothers, we living in some difficult times now. Every day, people are struggling more and more to get by. And these corporations are using this desperation to divide us.
We're sending a message today to every corporation that no corporation is more powerful than their workforce.
What we're doing is nothing short of historic. We're putting unions at the top of the agenda.
I stand here proudly with my brothers and sisters of SCIU.
Porque no seguiremos en silencio. Demandamos tener un asiento en la mesa. Nosotros debemos de ser parte de la conversación para arreglar estos problemas. El poder real viene cuando nos unimos.
There are times when I go to work and I'll drive 8, 10, 12-hour days and I'll make less than minimum wage. Southwest and American Airlines, they don't treat their workers with respect. Our fight for 15, sisters and brothers. McDonald's is not treating them with respect.
They're investing billions of dollars into LAX. They need to have good jobs, union jobs.
We need quality jobs with health care. We need jobs with fair wages. We need jobs where our voices are heard.
We are fighting as union workers for working families of all stripes, Asian, black, brown, white.
Ya estamos cansados del racismo y del sexismo en este país. Queremos ver cambios como inmigrantes. Tenemos nuestros hijos, nos merecemos respeto en cualquier lugar de trabajo, donde quiera que trabajemos.
That's why 40,000 child care providers across California came together and we fought for 16 years. Monday, Governor Gavin Newsom signed our bill, AB 378, and we now have the right to a union and collective bargaining.
By sending a message to every candidate seeking public office, including presidential candidates. If you want our backing, then you have to have our back. If you want workers to stand up for you, then you need to stand up for workers. That means supporting unions for all. No excuses.
Hola, buenos días. Mi nombre es María Fuentes. Trabajo en LEX. Por 14 años teníamos unión. Por culpa de la compañía de América, nos han quitado la unión. Mis compañeros y yo necesitamos la unión. Y en su mesa, en su silla, está este papel. Nos pueden ayudar con repartiéndolo mañana cuando vayan a su casa en las aerolíneas América, Southwest, United, y es lo que dice en el papel en español. Está en inglés, pero en español se los voy a decir. Queremos el apoyo de ustedes, si nos pueden ayudar. Dice, queridas aerolíneas, como su cliente digo, basta ya. Me junto con la lista creciente de pasajeros que demandamos que ustedes trabajan solo con contratistas responsables, que promueve buenos trabajos con la unión y respeto, mayor bienestar y seguridad por todos el aeropuerto. Le pido que nos apoyen uniones para toda LEX en el aeropuerto por todo el país. Gracias, necesitamos su apoyo.
Hello, everybody. My name is Eric Gines, and I've been an X-ray tech at Kaiser Permanente, Los Angeles Medical Center for the past 8 years. And this is a picture of me getting arrested on Labor Day. And I'm here to tell you how I got to that point and what happened after. About a year and a half ago, it became apparent that Kaiser Permanente was trying to walk away from the historic labor management partnership that has been in place for 20 years. They were attempting to place a gag order on workers. They were attempting to outsource our jobs. And, sorry, one second. Telling us we made too much money, and they wanted to put in a two-tiered wage system that would pit us against each other. At that point, the coalition realized we had a fight on our hands, and we joined together with SEIU UHW, Local 105, Local 49, and 1199 Northwest. We started by strengthening our internal structure and putting in our leadership. We got, sorry again. And we got together with workers and patients who were being affected by Kaiser's actions. We also built our strength externally by securing our partnership with labor movement and beyond, and with elected officials from city council members and presidential candidates. This all came together on Labor Day when thousands of us marched onto Kaiser Permanente locations in Oakland, Los Angeles, and Sacramento. We were joined by Congresswoman Maxine Waters, Senator Kamala Harris, Danny Glover, and dozens of other labor leaders and elected officials. We performed a civil disobedience where hundreds of us got arrested. After that, Kaiser's attitude had changed. Victory for us. They offered us 3% raises in California and equity with the regions outside of the state. They put a ban on outsourcing. They bid protection for our pensions and our retirement. But bigger than that, and what I'm most proud of, is Kaiser Permanente put $130 million into a new healthcare academy which will generate 10,000 union member healthcare workers a year. So it was a battle. We worked hard, and we worked together in unity, union strong.
Yo, 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 Chicago in the house! Hi, my name is Venus Roman Valino, and I work for the Chicago Park District, and I'm a proud member of Local 73. And I'm here to tell you why the Chicago Park District is going on strike! Yes, Chicago Park District workers oversee thousands of acres of land, hundreds of miles of lakefront. In the rain, in the snow, they're working out there, in the heat, hail, of course, wind. They're out there every day giving their best for the citizens of Chicago. But the Park District, what they have done is taken full-time positions. We were double what we are today, the workforce, and they've taken one full-time position and they replaced it with 2 or 3 part-timers. These part-timers, the part-timers, they do not get any benefits. They don't get health care. The Park District keeps them under a certain hours so that they don't have to pay for health care. Yeah, nope. They don't get any vacation time. So we work in recreation in the parks, but they can't go to the park. Even though they work all year round, they cannot go to the park because they got to be at work. they get no holiday pay. Yes. So, on the 4th of July, when everybody's outside with their families, having good barbecues at the parks and the beaches, majority of the workforce is working straight time without 1 penny extra. They don't get nothing. They don't get a penny. They don't get a thank you. They don't get nothing. Yeah. So they're done. We're done. But let me tell you about the Park District management. The CEOs, they give themselves 20% raises. Yeah. We're asking for 3%. That's what we're asking for. We want the Park District to give everybody the minimum $15 raise immediately. Yeah. That's what we want. We want to have our part-time workers have health care. They deserve it. And if they work holidays, they should get some extra pay for that too. And guess what else they want to do with us? They want to double, 100% increase our health care. 100%. I do have to say, though, I misspoke. They did offer us a 1 week of vacation for the part-timers. But you have to work 7 years in order to get 1 week. 7 years. 7 years. Well, Miss Mary Kay is here, so I can't really tell you what I said, because I'm supposed to be mindful that the media is here, so. But you can imagine. So we're done. We love what we do. The Park District is known as the city in the garden, but we can't. We're done. So we are rallying together, the Chicago Park District, our brothers and sisters from 73 that work in the Chicago Public Schools, Chicago Teachers Union. We are combining. This is the closest thing Chicago has ever seen to a general strike. We're going to shut it down. We're going to take 35,000 people on strike at one time. Shut it down if we don't get it. If we don't get it. If we don't get it. I was nervous before I got here, but woo, you guys. Okay, so we're asking for you guys to join us in solidarity. Please take out your cell phones. And as you're taking it out, please open it onto the app, the SEIU app that you have been using for the conference. On there, you're going to see Stand With Chicago Workers. Please click on that. And you will be able to stand with us by a click of a button, sending the city of Chicago, the Mayor Lightfoot, a message telling her that everyone in this room stands with us. Okay, so open your app, the SEIU app that you've been using, and click on Stand With Chicago Workers. And then you'll be able to tweet the mayor. All right. Thank you very much. And please send out those tweets. I hope to see you soon.
Didn't they do a fabulous job, guys? Give it up.
Yeah. All right, so we want to give you all another announcement that's happening right now. So since October 2nd, we've had one of our own groups also on strike. So is Loco 521 in the building? stand up and be recognized. Stand up. One of the largest units in their organization is on strike with 12,000 workers. That's right. So yeah, we just want to honor and recognize you all and everybody else.
Because we know that if Maria and the airport workers win,
we all win.
If Eric and Kaiser win,
we all win.
If Venus and the Chicago workers win,
we all win. And when Loco 521 wins, we all win. All right. Thank you all so much for that. I do want to give an update. Who has their yellow sticky on their badge because you texted? Everybody lift them up, All right, beautiful. So I want to give you all an update about what's happening at the Action Center. So the number on our slide is actually outdated because you all have been beasting at texting. So the updated one is, as of right now, you all who have texted have reached 588,000 unregistered voters here in the United States. So we are making a big impact. That's already well over 500,000. So I can't imagine how far we're going to get as we continue to go forward. So keep texting, keep showing up to the Action Center, and we're going to keep on making a difference right here.
Show me what a democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what a union looks like.
This is what a union looks like.
Show me what healthcare looks like.
This is what healthcare looks like.
Show me what immigration looks like.
This is what immigration looks like.
Because when we fight,
we win.
When we fight,
we win.
When we fight,
we win.
Workers united
will never be defeated.
Workers united
will never be defeated.
Workers united
will never be divided.
All right, y'all, we're going to get some music. We're going to get y'all dancing, get that blood flowing. So if we can get our fabulous tech team back here to get us started, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
Hit us with something good. All right, everybody. All right, give yourselves a hand. All right. Welcome back to Club SEIU. I mean the Unions for All Summit. All right. We got a fabulous DJ, right? Yeah. All right, so we're going to shout out to the tech crew and the backstage crew that's been keeping us on point. But in the spirit of staying on point, we're going to keep it moving. So let's get our focus back up here. Yeah, so thank you all for your patience. Thank you all for boogieing in the interim. Now we are going to bring back out the voice, Jerry Hudson. Jerry.
So I want to call your attention to something. If you have any doubts that you're landing something, I want you to pay attention to that screen over there. We're teaching the whole country how to do this, right? All right? So we're coming to the end of the morning with our final candidate. So I want to bring up my sister, Kelly Osborne, to introduce our next candidate. Kelly, fight for 15, Iowa.
Hello, SEIU brothers and sisters. How you feeling? Awesome. My name is Kelly Osborne. I am a leader in Fight for 15 from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I am a McDonald's employee that makes $8.25 an hour, and that ain't right. We recently had a victory after a strike. We actually got a raise to $10 an hour, and then consequently got all of our hours cut. I'm here to introduce a candidate that I had the pleasure of asking a question to 2 weeks ago in Des Moines at the People's Presidential Forum. And I asked him what he would do to unionize workers like me. And I was really glad to hear him say that he is going to double unionization for workers like me across America.
It's a good start.
So I'm very, very proud now to introduce Mayor Pete Buttigieg.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your leadership. Thank you for what you were doing to make sure that the economy actually works for working Americans. And thank you, Kelly, for standing up not only for yourself, but I got to tell you, she was sharing a little more about her story with me backstage. And I noticed a pattern when I speak to workers like her, especially those trying to make sure that fast food workers have labor and union rights. And it's this. Yeah, we're for that. Yeah. But here's the thing. When I asked more about why she was in this fight, she didn't talk about herself. She didn't talk about things she wanted to have. She talked about her 5-year-old grandson that she is raising with autism. And what I hear again and again from workers is you're not just fighting for yourselves, you're fighting for your families and the people who depend on you, and you deserve a president who will back you up in doing that. I'm running for president because I think our country's running out of time. And I think this is an even bigger crisis than the one that is devouring everybody's attention in Washington right now. Don't get me wrong, I think this president is a national emergency. But I also think that if the economy, our economy and our democracy were working the way that they're supposed to, a guy like this would never have come within cheating distance of the Oval Office in the first place. And you are ahead of the curve on dealing with the conditions that allow people like him to take over a political party and get to where he's gotten. Because we need an economy that actually works for us. Right now, you got the gross domestic product going up, and life expectancy is going down at the same time. That shouldn't even be possible. But it's happening because it has become harder and harder to get by in this country. And sometimes they talk about this like it's some cosmic force, like it's just physics that has dictated this reality where if you start the clock the day I was born, the economy has grown, but most people have not been able to get ahead. And now it is possible more than ever to work full-time and work hard and be good at your job and live in poverty. It is not an accident that that trend began right around the time that unionization started declining. And that is why, and I know we'll have more chance to get into detail on this, but my plan will expand who can unionize and how you can unionize, in addition to making sure that $15 is the floor, not the ceiling, for workers in this country. How you can unionize, that means things like expanding multi-employer bargaining. It means making sure penalties for employers who interfere with union elections are actually multi-million-dollar penalties that they're going to care about. And who can unionize, from fast food workers to gig workers to domestic and farm workers having labor protections. That's something I know the people in here know all about. So I'm going to respect the timekeeper over there, but I hope we can get into that too.
So we've got a few questions for you, Mayor Pete. Sister.
Hi, Mayor Pete.
Hello.
My name is Teresa McClatchy, and I work at the Houston International Airport in Houston. And I am a single parent of 2 daughters, and I have 2 granddaughters. And I'm also a proud member of the SEIU in Texas. Currently in July, I was in a car accident. And because of that car accident, I wasn't able to have the surgery on my own. But because the person that did hit me had insurance, I was able to have the surgery done on my neck that I needed. But my workers, or my employer, told me that if I didn't come back to work, that I would be terminated. Mind you, I've only been out for 1 week, so I had to go back to work the following week. So my choices were be terminated, be evicted, or go against my doctor's wishes and go back to work, because I was supposed to be off for 2 months max. But I had to go back to work. And as hard as I work, I make, over $9 an hour? And some of my coworkers make just over $2 an hour. So how can we really function on those low wages? So unions kind of help us to
take your time.
Come against the injustice that we have at the jobs. And that's what it is really a lot of injustices at the job, because it's like they're bullying you to come back to work, and they know the situations that they have. But my question to you is, what are you going to do to make sure that the employees or working people can join a union without being retaliated against by the employers?
Well, first of all, I'm so sorry to hear about your accident, and I'm so impressed that that hasn't stopped you from standing up and fighting for your rights and those of other workers. So thank you for being here.
I refuse to be defeated.
Good. But you also shouldn't have to be in this situation. No one should have to choose between their health and their paycheck. If your doctor, I'm guessing your doctor knows a lot more than your employer about what is right for you medically, and you should have the freedom to listen to your doctor. So, what do we do about this? Well, one of the things I mentioned very briefly is that there are a lot of cases where you got employers interfering with workers seeking to unionize. And it might even be illegal, but the penalty for it is so trivial that it doesn't really get the employer's attention. It's why I'm calling for a change to the law that would require that the penalties for an employer that intimidates workers or interferes with the union election, or fails to give equal time on company time to people who are speaking for as well as against joining a union, that if they interfere with that, they face multi-million-dollar penalties that'll force them to do something different. Now, a couple other things come to mind. A lot of states make it even harder for workers to stand together with so-called right-to-work laws. We call them right to work for less in Indiana. With federal leadership, we can put an end to right to work and make sure that workers have the opportunity in any state to be able to step up.
Second question.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Hardiman, and I have been working as a senior care provider specializing in Alzheimer's and dementia care for 40 years. And during this time, working very hard in skilled nursing facilities, the only time that I had a decent pay is when I was a SEIU member back in Detroit, Michigan. About 17 years ago, I was working for a rehabilitation center in Southfield, Michigan. They were bought out by another company. That company laid us off the week before Thanksgiving, never called us back to work, and reopened as a non-union facility. So I went from earning $12.75 as a certified nursing assistant to offers from non-union skilled facilities of $9.25. And during that same time, the governor of Michigan made it very hard for certified nursing assistants to join the union. So I just was frustrated, and I decided to leave Michigan and look for work elsewhere. I moved to Texas and found out very quickly that the pay in Texas was no different in Michigan. And some of those Medicaid-ran facilities, the conditions were terrible. So after 7 months, I packed up again and I left, and I moved to Colorado. The Colorado in-home care pay was a little better than Texas, but it was still what I was earning 30 years ago in Michigan. So I reached out to Local 105 in Denver, and they got me in touch with a lady named Melissa Benjamin, who is also a caregiver and an organizer for Colorado Caregivers United. And I met with Melissa, and I was surprised that this organization could give me the support and some benefits that I did have when I was a union member back in Detroit. I know, as a black woman, the low rate from state to state to state is not a coincidence. We have not always had unions to support us. In fact, the labor law was intended to exclude domestic workers and farm workers. Race and racism has been the drive of the American economy since the very beginning. And our next president needs to understand how those two things work together. So I would like for you to tell us your understanding of how racism has driven the American economy and what your plan is to fix that problem if you are elected the next president of the United States.
So the first thing that I think the next president needs to understand is that the racial inequalities that we're living with did not just come about by accident. and they're not going to go away on their own. You take a racist policy and you replace it with a neutral policy. That's not enough because the inequalities were created intentionally. As you pointed out, look, domestic workers, farm workers, service workers in healthcare are often systematically denied the ability to get labor rights and better wages. Service workers in healthcare, farm workers and domestic workers are disproportionately workers of color and women. Does anyone think those two things are a coincidence? It is one example of the systematic exclusion, and there are many. Look, some of this goes back hundreds of years to the fact that the very foundation of the American economy resulted in the theft of labor, which is to say the theft of generational wealth of enslaved people.
Right now.
But some of these policies happen within living memory. Within living memory. Federal housing policy segregated neighborhoods, which made it harder to get access to a good school, which made it harder to have a chance at a career. Within living memory, there were exclusions from things like the ability to get into the GI Bill. And the way Social Security was designed made it harder for some workers, again, in disproportionate fields with women and workers of color, to be able to access those benefits. This is one of the reasons why it is so important to support farm workers, to support domestic workers, to support service workers. And I'm sorry to hear that Michigan lost you because of, and so did Texas, because of its failure to support you as a worker. And it is one of the reasons why, in addition to labor law, I believe we're counting the wrong things in this economy. We ought to count the success of our economy not by how the Dow Jones is doing or how the GDP is doing, but by the income growth of the 90%. Does anybody reflect? Now, let me be really honest. I don't know what it is like to not be trusted when I walk into an ER and talk about how much pain I'm in because of my race, or to have a conversation with my son on what to do if he gets pulled over because of his race, or to know that my resume is less likely to get a call back for a job interview because I have a stereotypically white name versus a stereotypically black name. That's not my lived experience. But I do have a little bit of experience with exclusion. Because my marriage hangs on the grace of a single vote of the United States Supreme Court, I promise that I will never forget that the decisions that are being made in those big white buildings in Washington come into every different part of our lives. And this is a moment where anybody who has been excluded for any reason, who has had any different experience, and they are very different, of exclusion in this country, has to stand up for each other the way the people in this room are standing up for each other, because together we can end discrimination and we can lift one another up.
We got one question from the field.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Perla Canales. I'm member for the Union 32 BJ for 17 years. BJ. I'm coming to this country in 1993 when my husband passed away. I have 4 children. I have to make a hard decision for better life for my kids. In 1998, my country, Honduras, destroyed for Hurricane Mitch. I received in 1998 Employment Authorization, TPS, temporary. This administration, Trump, he's canceled all the people who got TPS like me, almost 400,000 people. He canceled. My life is in the finger for this administration. I want to know what you're doing for my community, for my immigrants. I want to know what you're doing, and you elect for President of the United States and this country for all immigrants.
First of all, What this administration is doing is dead wrong, and it goes against everything in the American moral tradition of support to people who come to our shores looking for a chance at a better life, and also bringing, we're not just doing a favor, people who come to this country like you are bringing a gift, bearing a gift, making this country a better place. And we need to honor that. It is why we need to extend temporary protected status, not withdraw it. It is why we need to create more pathways to citizenship. It is why we need to eliminate unfair country caps that limit, for no good reason, the combinations of people who can come. And it is why we need to respect the fact that our country can only grow if we honor and support those who have come here. I'm going to try to share this in Spanish too, because this is important. My Spanish is not perfect. Pero yo creo que merece el apoyo de su gobierno. Y compartamos esta nación. No importa su estación de ciudadano, que todos los que trabajan aquí, y especialmente los que están aquí por causa de una pesadilla en un otro país, que vienen aquí con esperanza y que trabajan para mejorar su comunidad. Este merece el apoyo del presidente de los Estados Unidos, and I will seek to be the president who supports everyone who comes to this nation seeking to build it up and make it a better place, and supporting their family. Thank you.
You have 2-3 minutes closing.
Oh, all right. They're going to let me talk a little more.
Take your time.
Well, once again, did you hear how in that question and each of the questions that came up, people are not only asking about what can be done for them, it's people who are supporting their families, who care about others, who want to lift up their communities. That we need to support those who wish to support others. And I want to make an observation that was pointed out to me not long ago. We talk about how good manufacturing jobs are because of the wages and the protections that go with them, even though they're chipping away at those day by day. But manufacturing jobs were not always good. They used to pay poorly. They used to be incredibly dangerous. They became good jobs because workers came together and demanded that they become good jobs. The reason it is so important that you are here and that you are calling presidential candidates to stand before you and explain what we will do to improve unionization and to improve wages and to improve working conditions is that this is about to happen for the union members and future union members who are here. This is about to happen in the industries that you work in, as it happened in manufacturing, if we stand together and make it happen. In healthcare, in gig work, and one of the things in my plan is that we insist that gig workers be extended union protections, because if you're doing a gig, you're doing a job, and if you're doing a job, you're a worker. We insist that you have worker protections and can speak to an employer that controls the conditions of your work, even if they call you a contractor, because if they can control the conditions of your employment, then that's who you ought to be able to bargain with. We stand for multi-employer bargaining, because if you're a fast food worker at a McDonald's and you got other fast workers at the Burger King across the street, those are your brothers and sisters, and you will be stronger when the law recognizes your right to stand together and bargain. The challenge we're living through today, the fact that you can work full-time and live in poverty, is not some result that could never have been otherwise. It is the result of policy choices. So we're going to make different policy choices. But that means recognizing that personnel is policy. That's why you need a Secretary of Labor who stands with organized labor. Just like we need a Secretary of Education who believes in public education. You need Supreme Court justices and judges who recognize that American freedom includes the freedom to organize, including for public workers. But the good news is all of those personnel decisions are made by the president. But the ultimate personnel decision is made by you, because you get to hire the President of the United States. And what's even better is you get to fire the President of the United States if they let you down. And that's what I'm here to help you do. So I hope to earn your support. I thank you for everything that you're doing. I stand with you, and I am proud to be a friend of organized labor. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pete. You off this way.
All right, everybody. So we want to make a brief announcement for all of you all who were tweeting for Chicago. The website may have crashed. So not only are we shutting down corporations, but we're shutting down websites. So if you go back to your app, it is now in full force again. You are able to send those tweets on behalf of your brothers and sisters in Chicago. So go ahead and send those tweets out.
And you guys have been doing such a good job with keeping the energy going and paying attention that we want to make sure